How you doing? Thanks for clicking on this US video discussion for this evening, the 12th of October. We have conditions changing once again across the northeast after a glorious weekend of warm sunshine. Temperatures well into the 80s across the board throughout the Midwest and northeast. We've got, of course, the hybrid system, the non-named tropical system that impacted Florida over the weekend, producing upwards of 10 to 15 inches of rain. We're seeing wind gusts, of course, up into the 70 to 80 mile an hour range. So tremendous wind and rain conditions across Florida. And that, unfortunately, folks, is now starting to enter the mid-Atlantic and northeast region over the course of the middle part of this week now. We've reached, of course, hump day Wednesday, and the conditions are really starting to go downhill. And I'm going to show you quickly here the map of the Weather Channel, and it's basically the rainfall prediction for the next for throughout the day on Thursday. You can see here pretty substantial rain up and down pretty much all the way from South Georgia, even parts of Florida as well, but I believe that is not so much related to the system itself that impacted Florida over the weekend. But we can see here a large swath of basically the entire eastern seaboard where upwards of 1 to 2 inches uniformly will fall over the next 24 to 48 hours. And of course, many of these areas here across just west of DC and Baltimore have seen almost the worst conditions they've seen over the past couple of months. Philadelphia, of course, received just literally under 30 inches of rain over the course of the August-September. It's just an unprecedented amount of rainfall, and we are going to see probably another couple of inches of rainfall over the next few days, and with basically the ground still saturated, it really does not take an awful lot for flooding to reoccur. You can see here slightly cooler air across the west, milder still across the central region, Midwest, 73 degrees in Chicago, and of course the rain-cooled air over the northeastern seaboard, of course 61 degrees, a big difference from the 87, 88 degrees that Boston seen just a few days ago, 62 in New York City, and a chilly 66 degrees in Washington DC. But if you notice here, all the cloud, the rain depicted in this graphic off the Weather Channel showing the rainfall today, so it's a bit a gloomy autumnal day across the eastern seaboard, unfortunately, and it's a big difference, of course, from what we've seen. The heat is building across the southwest, as you can see here. 88 degrees in LA, we might see even 90 degrees in downtown LA. But if you notice here, across the deserts, we're going to see Palm Springs, Yuma, Arizona, and of course even the Phoenix area. Temperatures could be bumping up towards 100 degrees either today or tomorrow. And the next couple of days are going to be the warmest of this mini heat wave, so to speak. We've got a pretty substantial flow of air going from the inland towards the Pacific. That's actually indicative of what is known as a Santa Ana wind, and it's a very dry wind. It raises the wildfire threat, and as the winds blow up and over and then down the coast range, which hugs the Pacific Ocean, the winds actually heat up, compress as they downslope these coastal range mountains, and we could be seeing temperatures very, very warm, very close to the Pacific Ocean. It's actually cutting off the classic onshore flow of the Pacific that typically cools off places like the beaches and even the greater Los Angeles basin. But that wind blowing from the northeast and east is going to really heat the temperatures up. Abundant sunshine is going to really combine to make very, very summer-like conditions across Southern California. So folks across Southern California, enjoy over the next couple of days. Get out, enjoy it if you can. But it's certainly going to be very warm across the southwest. But we are seeing changes, and I'm going to show you that as well of the European model, a model I always like to use. And you can see here, this is the current map of the European, the upper level pattern. You can see all the heat across the southwest of the United States into northwest Mexico. And if you notice here, very little in the way of cold air across the United States. Of course, like I said, we've got a pocket of cooler air over the Rockies, but it's not particularly cold for this time of year by any means. Now I'm going to skip ahead to Saturday, and if you notice here, way up in the very far northern part of North America, and particularly over Greenland, we've got building cold over Greenland, and we've also got that cold air actually starting to bleed and drift south down the spine of North America. So central portions of Canada can be looking at much cooler conditions by the weekend. A push of very cold northwest winds going to start to filter through the prairie provinces of Canada over the coming days, and that's going to start to deepen a trough. Notice the heat still over the southwest and pushing up the west into the Great Basin even. So temperatures above normal here, while over the central northern plains we're going to be starting to see significant cooling in the coming days. Looking ahead at Monday, and you can see here the trough slightly flattens out, but if you notice the colder air starting to expand over over Canada, and we can see that here, the heat remaining over the southwest desert region, but the trough slightly flattens out after the weekend, and one could think that the cold isn't going to come and materialise. But if you look ahead to Tuesday the 18th, the cold starting to infiltrate its way down through Canada. There's a big, large, upper-level low-pressure system over the eastern part of Hudson Bay, and that's going to pull the cold air from Greenland and central northern Canada, going to push all the way down into this trough over the course of the middle part of next week, as the North Atlantic Oscillation starts to become more and more negative. That basically means that you've got a ridge of high pressure then building over the North Atlantic, and then it develops troughs over North America as well as in Europe. We're going to be seeing the first frost across Scotland over the course of next week. But look at this here, look at the depth of the trough over the central and eastern part of the United States. Very, very chilly air is going to be seen through the middle part of next week. This will be the chilliest air we've seen so far this season across the northern plains and central plains. Looking ahead at next Friday, and you can see here the trough starting to sweep into the eastern part of the United States. The cold building over Canada, and it's all a sign of things to come, folks. We're now approaching the middle part of October, and it looks as if the models are suggesting a colder period next week across a large chunk of the United States, across particularly the central plains eastwards into the Midwest, and we are looking at a sign of chillier times to